Hello everyone, back tuning into today's video. We're going to have a look at web month ahead. It's JMA Friday, so as always on a Friday we're doing our month ahead look ahead with the Japanese and CFS V2. I was running rather late with today's video, so I won't talk about anything else. I'll just get on with it. It's going to take us into the start of May. We're going to look at the North Pole view down first of all. So this is the North Pole of the Northern Hemisphere up here. The mid-latitudes of the Northern Hemisphere are around there. The British Isles is just there. This is the Japanese 500 millibar height anomaly flowchart that we're starting off with. These are broken down into week periods. The first week period will take us from the 6th through to the 13th of April. We've got below average heights in the Atlantic and extending down to our south and southwest, with above average heights up to the northeast and also down to the southwest. We're doing something a bit like that with the flow, with the jet stream, and we might be bringing the air in from an east to southeasterly direction, which should be bringing milder air up from southern parts of Europe. We go through to week 2. This takes us from the 13th through to the 20th of April, with above average heights then building just to our northeast. Below average heights are being blocked in the Atlantic. The wind is pulling round into sort of a perhaps a more directly easterly type direction. It might be trying to bring in some slightly cooler air from the east as well. Should be a fair amount of dry weather though with that, because we are blocking off the Atlantic. And then we go through to weeks 3 and 4, takes us from the 20th of April through to the 4th of May, with above average heights then located to the west of the country, below average heights up to the north and also to the northeast, which means we're probably raising the jet stream north, so it should be relatively dry, but it might be a bit cool as we start to set up a bit of a northwest-southeast flow and trajectory with the jet stream. So that can start to bring some cooler air down from the northwest. Let's have a look at the mid-latitude view. The British Isles is here in the top right-hand corner of the chart. On this view, we can't see the North Pole. The North Pole is off the chart up there, and Scandinavia is like up there, but we just had a look at that view from the North Pole view down anyway, so we don't need to look at it again. This is the 500 millibar height anomaly flow chart for week 1, taking us from today, the 6th, through to the 13th of the month. We have below average heights to our southwest, and then there's above average heights up to the northeast, which of course we can't see. The precipitation anomaly looks like that. So the weekend is a little bit wetter than average to the south, but it's a bit drier than average actually up in the north. The temperature anomaly is perhaps average to maybe ever so slightly above average. It's a relatively mild-ish week, although it's actually many parts of Europe that get being properly warmer than average temperatures. We are close to average, maybe hinting at being a bit warmer than average, except on the east coast, where it does look a bit cold. That's because of the North Sea, of course. This is how week 2 was looking with the 500 millibar height anomaly. The ridge strengthens essentially to the northeast and probably turns the wind around into more of a straight and direct easterly. Temperature anomalies are average, possibly hinting at being a bit cooler than average in this week. Oops, that went a bit wrong, so let's do it again. Possibly hinting at being a bit cooler than average in that week, taking us from the 13th to the 20th of April. But it is drier than average as we're blocking off the Atlantic. Precipitation anomalies are going on to the drier than average side. And then go through to weeks 3 and 4, takes us from the 20th of April to the 4th of May, with above average heights to our west-southwest, and probably doing something a bit like that, but flowing with the jet stream. So still a fair amount of settled weather, I think, but maybe a bit cool as the flow trajectory of the wind of the jet stream is northwest to southeast aligned, and the temperature anomaly just confirmed that it's going cooler than average once again. Bear in mind this is a 2-week anomaly, so it might be transitional as well. There might be something going on that week 3 is doing one thing and week 4 perhaps does something differently. You can't rule that out. But over 2 weeks, temperature anomalies are actually going a bit colder than average. or cooler than average, but it is a drier than average week as well, with precipitation anomalies again looking quite dry. So relatively dry, but nothing particularly exciting going on with the temperatures is how the JMA is viewing things as we go through the rest of April and into May. What about CFS V2? Well, again, these are the 500 millibar height anomalies, which are broken down into weekly periods. So first week period will take us from the 6th through to the 12th of April. And with this one, we find that we've got above average heights sitting to our east, with below average heights to the west, to the southwest. The jet stream is doing something rather like that, and we're beginning to pull the air in from sort of an east-southeasty type direction, which may bring some milder or less cold or even warmer air in from off the continent. This is how week 2 is looking. This is the 13th to the 19th of April, with below average heights blocked in the middle of the Atlantic and above average heights to our east, to our northeast as well. The flow and the jet stream is doing something like that. So again, that looks so it would be relatively dry, and with the air sort of coming in from an southeasterly type direction, should be relatively warm as well. Week 3 looks like that. Quite a big change in this week, going from the 20th through to the 26th of April. We start to move that high pressure to our north and northwest. So we're retrogressing it from the east, from there, and we're taking it in that direction. And what the upshot of that is, to place a ridge there and down to there, is to probably start to pull down colder air from the north and from the northeast. So the CFS has been seeing this for a little while now. It is a bit of a trend from this model that whilst we do go for a warmer and more spring-like phase through the middle part of April, we can't be ruling out the chance of another shot of cold air from the north coming along through the final sort of week to 10 days of the month. And then that continues, by the look of it, into week 4, which is the 27th of April to the 3rd of May. We've got a mid-Atlantic ridge then, so high pressure is in that direction with a Scandinavian trough. It looks like we're probably pulling down the wind as a direct northerly. So again, I'm talking about this for a while now in the longer range updates. We can't be, if you're a grower or a farmer, can't be ruling out the chance that we may get another shot of, I wouldn't necessarily say winter, because we're talking about the end of April and start of May, but we may well get another shot of cold air, which is probably cold enough to bring damaging frost. You won't be ruling out snow, especially for northern parts of the country in that kind of a situation. It is a little bit worrying, I have to say, if you're a grower, what the CFS is quite consistently doing now for this final week to 10 days of April. Let's have a look at the temperature anomalies. The week ahead, the 6th through to 12th of April, is coming out still a little bit cooler than average for the north, but warmer than average for England and Wales. Nice and warm across many parts of Europe as well. So temperatures recovering in the weekend, and that continues through to week 2. This is the 13th to the 19th of April, above average temperatures, quite substantially so. That's a scale, so we're going to around 2 degrees above average on our scale. Many parts of Europe looking nice and warm there as well. So we definitely do go through a phase of spring in the next couple of weeks. But then we go through to week 3, and we're starting to see the temperature anomalies cooling down. Now, week 3 is just going back down towards average, so nothing to be overly concerned about. Still above average for this week across central parts of Europe, although less so compared to weeks 1 and 2. But then look at that, we've gone through to week 4, which is the 27th of April to the 3rd of May, and we are back colder than average again, not just for the UK, but for many parts of Europe as well. So after that spell of spring through the middle of the month, the CFS wants to bring us back into colder weather again as we go into the end of April and to the start of May. Now, the JMA isn't really highlighting that at the moment, but with the JMA model, that's sort of weeks 3 and 4, which is a 2-weekly anomaly. And so that 2-week anomaly might be masking that change towards more wintry weather, perhaps. Wouldn't necessarily say it is, but it might be. Precipitation anomalies, finally, for the week ahead. We're coming out average to still hinting at being a bit wetter than average for southern and western parts of the country. Week 2 precipitation, though. This looks like a really nice week. This is the 13th to the 19th of April. Week 2 precipitation is average to hinting at being a bit drier than average. So we've got the temperatures going to be above average if the service is right in this week, with precipitation below average. That looks like a really nice spell of spring-like weather there from the 13th to the 19th of April. We go through to week 3, which is the 20th to 26th of April, with average precipitation starting to lose the signal now, as we always do in week 3. And then week 4, again, very weak signals, no better than average. And again, it's a really weak signal. I think we do lose that signal for precipitation weeks 3 and 4 with CFS V2. So what do we make of this update? Well, what we can say is that the next week or two is likely to give us a spell of spring-like weather. So if you've been waiting for spring, then make the most of it, because it does look like the next couple of weeks, particularly actually around the middle part of April, we go through what could be really quite a nice spell of spring weather. But concerns are there for the final week to 10 days of April, and it's been ongoing for a little while now with the CFS. It is quite consistently doing this. So after this spell of warmer spring-like weather through the early and middle part of April, we potentially turn those winds back into the north and northeast again in the final week to 10 days. How cold that will get is highly uncertain, because we are now really, really late into the year. So we have had significant snow and blizzards at the end of April. It happened in 1908, happened in 1981, but it's very, very rare to do that. I would suspect the main issue, if this is right, is going to be with frost and a return of low daytime temperatures. But certainly in Scotland, snow is not to be ruled out even into May, really. So we just have to wait and see how cold any potential northerly or northeasterly is. But if you're a grower, if you're a farmer, if you're relying on the weather to produce spell of spring, I think you need to be keeping a close eye on what's happening here, and that's as much as we can say at the moment. We'll know a little bit more as we get closer to it, but there are concerns here now, I think, with the CFS, because it's doing this consistently. There are concerns for what's happening in the final week to 10 days of the month. Right, we'll keep you updated and see how it progresses. Tomorrow we've got the weekend forecast, of course, as always, on a Saturday. Sunday, we'll have Gazzo's Sunday roundup as usual, and we'll have some more summer analogues. So there will be updates coming and going over the weekend. Keep checking back for more. But that's all for now, and thanks for watching.